Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your geographical location. Greetings to you all, viewers, followers. I'm grateful. Thank you very much for being with us. It's been a while for video to be dropped, and I think we are mourning as well. We went through some unfortunate situation as a country, and it has, unless people without conscience that would think whatever happened is not having a relationship or a connection with whatever human that lives on this planet called Earth. I think this time around we are bootstrapping out of our agony and our trauma. Greetings once again. When the realities of life are uncovered, change is a must. I hope we are all doing fine. I hope we are all doing well. I hope all is well with us all. Even if there's challenges, it is part of life, we will overcome it. We do not plan for anything. Sometimes we are not ready for anything, but the things happen. We face them and we move on. That is life. That is why each and every time in our life, we should expect unexpected. We should expect unexpected. Thank you very much. I'm grateful for your support, the sharing of the videos. In fact, most of you here are really here to learn. I'm grateful the sharing of the videos and the comment that comes under the video. I'm very, very grateful. Thank you once again. And to proceed with you, Islamic expose. Somebody will ask, why still? We just don't want to leave a stone without turning it. We are opening up everything. Islamic religion is a religion that has hyped itself too much. Muslims has hyped Islamic religion too much, condemning any other thing on earth, anything that is not Islam, anything that is un-Islamic. Islamic religion says it is haram, it is condemned. This is the problem. Now, we are trying to tell you that the religion is man-made. Yes. Well, to people who are really listening to us with ears, with sensible brain, who understand that the religion is man-made. So far, the presentations, the submissions we've done a lot of videos. The couple of videos we've dropped are telling us clearly that, and also indicating that Islamic religion is man-made religion, just like any other religion. That is what the religion is. On top of that, Islamic religion is the religion with the most scariest teachings, most dangerous teachings. When Islam starts to rub a shoulder with the people of a country, then the people of that country must sit up, because you're going to go through a whole lot. Did you realize that all the Islamic continent, where they say assalamu alaikum, where their greeting is always assalamu alaikum, that is the places where there is no peace on earth? Do you realize that? Do you also realize that it is where they say salam alaikum every day that refugees run from those countries to the countries that are not Islamic countries? So what is happening? So you see, for Muslims to tell you that Islam is a religion of peace alone, tells you that the religion is not peaceful religion. Yeah. Again, I also want to mention this, I want to mention something in this preamble before we move on. You see, we have been saying more than once, we've been mentioning this, that it is when people are virtually operating in their animalistic level that they become religious. In other words, religious people are the people who virtually operate in their animalistic level. Yes. Now, something happened last week or last 2 weeks or so, and it is on social media. The religious people themselves, in fact, the so-called religious scholars has confirmed that religious people, and Islamic to be precise, are virtually animalistic people. They operate animalistically, virtually, they confirmed it. There's a serious banter going on social media between Islamic scholars, between two groups of Islam, between two sects of Islam which you do not know. You know, the reason why you don't hear most of these problems is that it is always in Hausa. It is always in Hausa. In fact, that is why I decided to go with the little English I have in this my expose, because I want it to be worldwide. I don't want to limit it to a particular place. I don't want to limit it to a particular country. That is why I'm using my little English that I have to do this expose. Now, the problem between Islamic sect, or the sectarian problem between Islamic dominated areas, is very high, but you do not hear them. You know why? Because it is in Hausa. Because it is in Hausa. Now, two young Islamic scholars, or whatever, I don't know what to call them, because they are not scholars. They are not scholars in Islamic religion. In fact, there is no scholars in any religion. They are translators, because the invaded religions are in foreign languages. So the fact that you read the foreign language and translate what is written in the foreign language to us does not make you a scholar. You are a translator. You are a translator. That is the fact. You are a translator. So they are translators, but well, they want to call them Islamic scholars. So let's take it like that. But trust me, they are translators. So these young scholars representing two giant Islamic sects, the Tijaniya sect and the Sunni Salafi sect, has confirmed that the leaders of Islamic religion are operating virtually at the animalistic level, and also their followers are also operating at the virtually at the animalistic level. Yes. A Tijaniya young scholar from Nigeria came to Ghana to come and propagate his religion and to defend a particular ideology in the Tijaniya movement. To propagate and defend an ideology, something that the founder of the sect, Tijaniya, the founder of the sect, who is known as Ahmadu Tijani or Ahmad At-Tijani, he said something in his popular book known as Jawahirul Ma'ani. We are not yet there. We will read things for you. We have a lot for you. We have a lot for you. The confusion and the irregularities and inconsistencies, the barbaric teachings of Islam is beyond what you think. Seriously, it's beyond what you think. Now, this young scholar from Nigeria came to Ghana to defend an ideology of their founder, Ahmad Tijani, who founded the Tijaniya movement. Now, in doing so, before he started to defend the idea, he called the Sunni Salafi people dogs. He said, if you are here and you are a Sunni Salafi, come and debate me. Don't wait for me to finish my presentation and go back to Nigeria before you come and be barking like dogs. So he called them dogs. One people worshiping one Allah, following one Muhammad. Yes, he called them dogs. So he did his presentation and left to Nigeria. The Sunni Salafi sect never came to debate him. He left. And then they also went to their mosque. I mean, the Sunni Salafis. They went to their mosque and they also condemned him and they called him a mouse. They called him a mouse, or I don't know, maybe a rat. They called him a rat or a mouse. Yes. They called him a rat. So he called them dogs, and they came to call him a mouse. Now, these two young men are vibrant leaders of the two major groups of Islam, two major sects in Ghana and Nigeria. So if these young men who are frontliners, they all have followers, are calling each other dogs and rats, what makes the followers? So this confirms what we have been saying all this while. Religion makes one animal. Pardon my manners. They confirmed it themselves. I'm not fan of playing people's videos on my page. I don't have time for that. If not, I would have shown it. But those of you who watch my videos and you understand Hausa, you will confirm this. It is on social media. But those of you who don't understand Hausa, it's because you don't understand Hausa, so you don't know that this banter is going on. Or maybe you don't even pay attention, you don't care, you don't give a damn about it, but it's going on. So Sunnis are dogs and Tijaniyas are rats. According to these young men, they've made it clear from their own mouth. I'm not making this stuff up. It is on social media. Thank you very much. Let's proceed. This is to tell you that this religion and shit, pardon my manners, it has nothing to offer humanity. It is a lie, because two people, two sects, following one Allah, one Muhammad, are calling each other rats and dogs. You see, now at this juncture, I've gotten to know why they don't dare to react to my videos. You know why? We are lions. So rats and dogs don't dare to interfere in the affairs of lions. Hakanan ne, yanzu na gane abin da yasa videos na yafi karfin ku, ba ku ya kutanka, saboda ku karnuka ne da beraye, mu kuma zakuna ne. Kare da bera su yi kaɗan su yi wasa inda zaki yake. Zaki ya zo, kare da bera kumasa. You said it yourself. Thank you very much. Now, on the nocturnal journey and the ascension, we are done with the nocturnal journey. We mentioned the ascension and we told you what transpired in the first heaven, where Muhammad saw heaven, and he saw an angel called Malik, who is a gatekeeper of the hell of Islamic religion. Meanwhile, he couldn't recognize him, but he saw him at Jerusalem. Look at nonsense. Look at stupidity at a higher level. Someone will say stupidity akbar. Stupidity at a higher level. He saw that angel at Jerusalem, but when he met the angel in the heaven, the first heaven, he couldn't recognize that angel. You see, this is what you call a religion. Even if there is any God somewhere who has a religion, Islam can never be the religion of God. Islamic religion can never be religion of God. See, agree with me or disagree with me, but the fact remains that Islamic religion can never be the religion of God. So stop wasting your time in Islamic religion. If you want to follow God, then it's not in Islamic religion. That is, even if there is any God somewhere. If there is any God somewhere and that God needs your allegiance, I don't think Islamic God is the God you need to follow. Now let's proceed. Now, in my hand, I have Asiratul Nabawiyah of Ibn Kathir. This is biography of Muhammad of Ibn Kathir. And this one is, let me be quicker, volume 4. This is volume 4. And I'm going to read to you from the page 612. Now, you see, Muhammad couldn't recognize an angel, a gatekeeper of Islamic hell, that Muhammad met at the mosque, at the so-called mosque of Jerusalem. He couldn't recognize him. Now wait, it's not only the angel that Muhammad couldn't recognize. It's not only the angel that Muhammad couldn't recognize. Muhammad could not recognize other people. The people he described in Jerusalem, the holy city, the people, the prophet, the so-called Abrahamic prophet that he described in the holy city, Muhammad couldn't recognize them in the sky. When he went to the sky, he couldn't recognize them. Now come with me as I take you so quick and let's see what is here. Now, according to Ibn Kathir, a fairy tale malam, a liar for that matter, one of the Islamic liars, people who can concoct and fabricate lies to support Islamic religion, is this man. There is no Islamic book on earth that can be proven. There is no evidence or facts backing anything that Islamic books has mentioned. No. Do you know one of the elements, historical element, that concretize and authenticate historical event is what we call ethnography. The ethnographical aspect of Islamic religion is not there. Ethnography is not part of Islamic history. Starting all the way from Quran, Hadith, history, Sirah, and everything, there is no ethnography backing it. No. Now, page 613. Now, this is what Ibn Kathir is saying. He's talking about the number of people or the things Muhammad saw in the skies. You know, we mentioned the first sky and we told you what was there. Now listen to this. He says, وَذَكَرَ أَعْيَانُ مَنْ رَآهُ مِنَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. Muhammad mentioned the prophet he saw or the messengers that he saw in the skies, one after the other. 7 skies. Now let me put them together for you and let's hear. He says, كَآدَمْ فِي السَّمَاءِ الدُّنْيَا. Now Ibn Kathir in Asiratul Nabawiyah is saying that Muhammad saw Adam in the first sky. This sky where we read in Asiratul Nabawiyah, Ibn Hisham's book, where we read that Muhammad saw hell over there. Maliki opened hell for Muhammad to see. That same place, Muhammad saw Adam. I mean, the first man according to Abrahamic religions. Muhammad saw Adam. Wa Yahya wa Isa fi Athaniya. In the second sky or in the second heaven, Muhammad saw Yahya, John, wa Isa, and Isa, which supposed to be Jesus Christ. So in the second heaven, Muhammad saw John and Jesus. Now, just let's leave this name of Yahya and whatever. We will talk about that. We will discuss into details when we get to the Quran. Wa Idris Firabia. Now, according to Ibn Kathir in this book, he says in the second heaven, Muhammad saw John and Jesus. Now, he left the third heaven and then he moved to the fourth one. He said, Wa Idris Firabia. In the fourth heaven, Muhammad saw Enoch. Okay, Idris is Enoch. Okay, Enoch is Idris in Arabic. That is what they said. Now, wa Musa fi Sadisa, and he left the fifth heaven and said, in the sixth heaven, Muhammad saw Moses. Okay, and he says, wa Ibrahima fi Sabia, in the seventh heaven, Muhammad saw Abraham. What was Abraham doing? Musnadan dharuhu ila al-bayt al-ma'mur. Abraham was sitting closer to a building, leaning on the building. Abraham in the seventh heaven. Muhammad saw Abraham sitting there, leaning his back on a building known as Bayt al-Ma'mur, a visited house. Bayt al-Ma'mur means a visited house, a house that has been visited often. Now let me tell you a little bit, a brief background about Bayt al-Ma'mur. This Bayt al-Ma'mur is mentioned in the Quran. What is Bayt al-Ma'mur? Bayt al-Ma'mur in Islamic religion is said that it is a house, a building which is in the seventh heaven. In the seventh heaven, and it is like the shrine Kaaba. It's like the shrine Kaaba, and every day angels, malaika, angels visit the building and then come and circumambulate and go around the building, just like the way Muslims do abdus, the Arab esquisses do when they go to Mecca. Now listen, that building that angels circumambulate or go around is the building that is known as Bayt al-Ma'mur, and it is in the shape of the shrine Kaaba according to Islamic religion. Now listen, he says that house yadkhuluhu kulla yawmin sab'una alifan min al-malaika. Every day 70,000 angels visit Bayt al-Ma'mur in the seventh heaven. In the seventh heaven, they go there. يَتَعَبَّدُونَ فِيهِ صَلَاةً وَطَوَافًا. The angels go there to worship Allah and circumambulate, meaning go around the building. Now you see, this is what Ibn Kathir is talking about in the what Muhammad saw in the heavens. Now let me stop here. There's a serious point. We are not yet there. Now you see, Ibn Kathir in Asirat al-Nabawiyah did not mention that Muhammad saw hell in the first heaven. No. But he said Muhammad saw Adam. He saw Adam in the first heaven and saw Jesus and John in the second heaven and saw Enoch in the fourth heaven and saw Moses at the sixth heaven, and at the seventh heaven he saw Abraham. Now let me put this book aside and pick another book of the same author, Ibn Kathir. Come with me as I take you to Al-Bidayatu wan Nihaya. The beginning and the end is also the book of Ibn Kathir. Now in here, Ibn Kathir mentioned the same thing he mentioned in this one. Actually, trust me, you see, this book and this is almost the same thing. The only difference is that this one, Al-Bidayatu wan Nihaya, according to Ibn Kathir, is a book that is talking about the history of the world from the beginning to the end, according to him, and it is full of lies. It is full of lies. It is full of things that cannot be substantiated. Okay, now that is it. But when it comes to Sirah, the biography of Muhammad, what Ibn Kathir mentioned here is almost the same thing that is adduced here. What is adduced here is the same thing that is adduced here. What is cited here is the same thing that is cited here. Okay, now let me take you to Al-Bidayatu wan Nihaya and let's see what the fairy tale guy got to say. Now, with the issue of the heavens, he mentioned the same thing. He mentioned the same thing, similar thing. He didn't differentiate. He didn't take anything out and he didn't add anything. He didn't take anything out. He didn't add anything. Al-Bidayatu wan Nihaya Al-Juz'u Salis. Go check page 3. Okay, page 3 of Al-Bidayah wan Nihaya. No, volume 3. Volume 3 of Al-Bidayah wan Nihaya, page 104. He has this to say. He just mentioned. Now here, the only thing he added here is that he mentioned that what Muhammad used to climb to the sky is sulam, ladder. We've spoken about that one. Now let's come here. He says, he mentioned what he mentioned in Asirat al-Nabawiyah. The same thing. He says he saw Adam. Muhammad saw Adam in the first heaven. Okay, Muhammad saw Adam in the first heaven. Wa Yahya wa Isa fi thaniya. In the second heaven, Muhammad saw Jesus and John. Okay, wa fi Rabia Idris. In the fourth heaven, Muhammad met Enoch. He saw Enoch. Wa Musa fi Sadisa. In the sixth heaven, he saw Moses. And in the seventh heaven, he saw Abraham. This is what one person mentioned in his two different books. Now, let me take you to Asiratul Nabawiyah Ibn Hisham. This one. Now, listen to me. Here, there is something different. I mean, this is the second oldest Sirah. As usual, we've told you this more than one. This is volume 2 of Asiratul Nabawiyah Ibn Hisham. And now, let's get into it. Here, there is a narration about what really happened. How Muhammad climbed the heavens. Now, when you go to page 19 rather. Okay, page 19. Asiratul Nabawiyah Ibn Hisham, volume 2, page 19. The caption says, Su'uduhu ila samawati saba. The ascending of Muhammad to the 7 heavens. Now, Qala Ibn Ishaq said, he got the hadith from one companion of Muhammad known as Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. He says, Thumma as'adani ila sama athaniya. Now, don't forget, it is in this book that we read that Muhammad saw hellfire in the first heaven. So the video you watch, the previous video you watched, is only about the first heaven. Now, here we're going to talk about the second heaven and the remaining of the heavens according to perspective of Ibn Hisham, the oldest seerah. You will see that he is saying different things entirely from Ibn Kathir. This is irregularities. This is man-made religion. So shut up. Dogs and rats, shut up. You said it yourself. Your malam said that's what you are. Dogs and rats, shut up. Now listen. He says, Muhammad said, Thumma as'adani ila sama athaniya. And then the angel took me to the second heaven. فَإِذَا فِيهَا إِبْنَ خَالَ Isa ibn Maryam wa Yahya ibn Zakaria. In the second heaven, Muhammad said, I saw Jesus and John. Now, come with me here. Come with me in Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya. Ibn Kathir, okay? Ibn Hisham, okay? Asirat al-Nabawiyah, Ibn Hisham says, in the second heaven, Muhammad saw John and Jesus. Now, Ibn Kathir says what? Ibn Kathir says, in the second heaven, Muhammad saw Jesus and John, the same thing. Let's proceed. Now, Yahya bin Zakaria, Qala, and Muhammad said, Thumma as'adani ila sama athalitha. And then the entity called Jibril took me to the third heaven. Now when I got to the third heaven, فَإِذَا فِيهَا رَجُلٌ سُورَتُهُ كَسُورَةُ الْقَمَرِ لَيْلَةِ الْبَدْرِ. In the third heaven, I saw a man. The man's image looks like the moon in the full moon day. Listen, in the third heaven, Muhammad said he saw a man in the third heaven, and the man's image looks like the man looks like the moon. The man looks like full moon. Listen, Qala, Muhammad said, Qultu, I said, Man hadha ya Jibril? Oh, you entity Jibril, who is this man? Qala, Jibril said to Muhammad, Hadha akhuka Yusuf bin Yaqub. This is Joseph, the son of Jacob. So, in the third heaven, according to Ibn Hisham, Muhammad saw Joseph, the son of Jacob. In Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya, there is no third heaven. This one, Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya, Ibn Kathir didn't mention what Muhammad saw or who Muhammad encountered with in the third heaven. Okay? Asiratu an-Nabawiyah of Ibn Hisham, he didn't mention what Muhammad saw or who Muhammad encountered in the third heaven. So, two different narrations. But Ibn Hisham says, in the third heaven, Muhammad saw who? Joseph, the son of Jacob. Let's proceed. Thumma as'adani ila sama arabi'a. And then the angel took me to as-sama arabi'a, the fourth heaven. فَإِذَا فِيهَا رَجُلٌ. In the fourth heaven, there is also another man. فَسَأَلْتُهُ مَنْ هُوَ. And I asked Jibril, who is this man? فَقَالَ Jibril, هَذَا Idris. Jibril said to him, this is Enoch. So here, Ibn Hisham concurred with Ibn Kathir about the person Muhammad saw in the fourth heaven. Idris is Enoch. Qala, and he says, Yaqulu Rasulullah, and then Muhammad recited a verse to back that. Let's leave the verse. And then he said, Thumma as'adani ila sama al-khamisa. And then Jibril took me to the fifth heaven. Okay? fifth heaven. فَإِذَا فِيهَا كَهْلٌ. In the fifth heaven, he saw an old man. In the fifth heaven, Muhammad saw an old man. In the fifth kahlun, an old man. Abyadu ras, he has gray hair. Abyadu ras, he has gray hair. Okay? Walihya, the beard is also gray. Azimul uthnun, Azimul uthnun. The beard is very plenty beard, very plenty beard. Lam ara kahlan ajmal minhu. Muhammad says, I've never seen a handsome old man like that man. Okay? Qala, Muhammad said, Man hadha ya Jibril? Who is this person, oh Jibril? Qala, hadha huwa muhabbibu fi qawmihi. This man is the loving person, the loved one among his people. He is Aaron. So, in the fifth heaven, Muhammad saw Aaron. Ibn Kathir didn't stress himself to mention who Muhammad saw in it. Do you know why? Because distance are lies. Distance are lies. Let me proceed with you. And then in the sixth heaven, Muhammad saw another person, Tawil, very long, very tall person. And Muhammad asked, who is this guy? Jibril said to Muhammad, this is Moses. This is Moses. And then Muhammad says he climbed to the seventh heaven, and then he saw another person in the seventh heaven, Kahlun. That person is also an old man, ala kursi. He was sitting on a chair, ila babul bayt al-ma'mur, sitting at the door, at the entrance of the Kaaba-like building in the seventh heaven. And this man was who? Who was this man in the seventh heaven? It was Abraham. It was Abraham in the seventh heaven. So these are the people Muhammad encountered in the heavens. Now, in this book, all the seven heavens were mentioned, and people that were encountered in the heavens were mentioned. But here, some of them are out. Now, listen, this is not even the problem. Should I tell you the problem? Come with me to hear the problem. The problem is that Muhammad claimed to lead Moses, Abraham, and Jesus' prayers. He led them to pray in Jerusalem. And I read to you in another Sirah book that Muhammad described how they look like. And he said Abraham looks like him. Okay? Now, someone that you saw in Jerusalem led him in prayer. Now that you saw him in the seventh heaven, you asked your entity Jibril that, Man hadha, who is this man? Someone you led prayer, someone that followed you to pray in Jerusalem. Now you saw the same person in the seventh heaven, you couldn't recognize him. Do you see the flaws? Do you see the flaws of the story? You see, he led Abraham in prayer at Jerusalem. But now that he saw Abraham in the seventh heaven, he couldn't recognize Abraham. He's asking Jibril, Man hadha, who is this? Garbages of Islamic religion for you. Garbages of Islamic religion. Your scholars will never tell you this. Now, let's say the fictional character Muhammad exists. It is either Muhammad is dumb or Muhammad has psychological problem. So he doesn't recognize people. He doesn't recognize people. Yes, it is either Muhammad is dumb or he has a psychological problem. He's a psychopath. He has a psychological problem. So he does not recognize people. How could you lead someone in prayer at Jerusalem? For you to meet the person in seventh heaven, you couldn't recognize him, and you are asking Malaika Jibril or the entity called Gebra that, Man hadha, who is this? The same thing applies to Moses. He asked, who is this? Before the so-called Jibril told him, this is Moses. And he also asked when he saw Jesus, who is this? He said, this is Jesus. Meanwhile, he claimed to lead these people and even describe them. You still doubt that this religion is man-made. Fairy tales, Arabian fairy tales, Arab-esque kisses. Your malams are confused because your books are confused books. Now, We've mentioned to you the people Muhammad encountered in all the 7 heavens with the irregularities and confusions and inconsistencies. Come with me in the next video. That will be last but one of the Sirah discussion of the nocturnal and the ascension of Muhammad. Come with me in the next video. There is another important thing I want to expose to you. Comment, share, and your views are welcome. The Prophet of Africa, the descendant of Thoth. Bye-bye.